Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Nakwan, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts. And another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach, Malak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David. That's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, Malak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David. That's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach Yahushua. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverencing the husbands, being submissive, being diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to everybody tuning in live. Shalom. Salome Williams, Terrell Barnett, Philip Love. We got next Israel from Egypt to Israel. Kohalo Yahweh Bashmi Abushai, Yapa Yasha Allah. Ancients New, White on Wheat, Quadash Zion, Ramonica Wade, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. All praises again to Yahweh Bashmi Abashad on this mighty Sabbath. The topic of this live stream is secrets of, or this cold cut is secrets of the birth of Esau and Jacob, the birthright and the blessing, right? We always go into, or we often talk about how Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We touch on who the Edomites are. We even went into it at camp yesterday. We went to Genesis, the 36th chapter, expounded upon where Esau came from. We talk about that. Look, you come from Jacob. We go out there and teach our people that Jacob is your forefather, Isaac and Abraham, and other men that preceded or lived on the earth before them, right? But I want to actually focus on Genesis, maybe 25 and possibly 27. And I want to see if I can cover both chapters and actually dive into it and bring it out, man, because our people need to know the origin of why things are the way they are. See, you have two main players in the Moses movie, for lack of better terms, the Edomites and the Israelites, right? Remember, this is the Moses movie. Everything that the Heavenly Father set up. I want to open up another blue letter. Everything that the Heavenly Father set up was for his will, man. Right, the Moses set up the Edomites, he set up the Moabites, he set up the spiritual demon Satan. The Heavenly Father has done all these things, man. Right now, with that being said, let me get this precept. Salaki, let me get this precept. This is the book of Revelation. Right, I want to go to Revelation. Let me just go here. Salaki, bear with me 1 second. I want to make sure everything's lined up. All right, bear with me. Make sure the sound. All right, can everyone hear me? All right, just say Khan if you can hear me. All right, can brothers hear me? Khan. Okay, all praises. All right, the water, all praise to the Most High. All right, Khan. All right, so let's go to Revelation, the water, right? This Revelation chapter 4 and 11, right? Let's get right into it. Revelation chapter 4 and 11, as I was saying, this is the Most High's deal, man. The Most High's created everything according to his will, right? Revelation 4 and 11, thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. So anything that you see, whether it's the creeping things or the fowls of the air, the beasts of the field, the mountains, the trees, anything, any individual, right? Any nation, it was made for the Most High's pleasure. And remember, this is the Most High's movie. And then any great movie, you have a star, right? You have your protagonist, your good guy, and then you have your bad guy. You have your villain, man. Who are you forced to root against? Who opposes the hero or opposes what they call the protagonist. And then you also have extras, right? You might have a scene at a coffee shop and it's kind of people in the background, kind of just drinking coffee, or walking to the cash register, or it might be a fighting scene in the streets where you see people kind of that are bystanders, looking confounded, trying to figure out what's going on, and those are extras. So the main star in this movie amongst the nations are the Israelites, man. The Most High has created the Israelites to be his chosen. And then you have the Edomites, they're the bad guy, right? They're like an antagonist, right? Which means they go against. And then you have the extras, which are these other nations, right? The other nations, the Moabites, the Japhites, they're just extras, man. But the main two nations that the Bible pinpoints are the Israelites and the Edomites. Everybody else, they just play their role, And the Most High created it according to that reason. And our people don't know really who the so-called white man came from. Some people say he's Japheth. Some people don't, they don't even understand that. Some people believe, and a scientist, they believe in this man named Yaakov created Edomites in a laboratory, man. Some people say they came from monkeys. Right? Some people say they came out of the line of a ape, and the ape began to walk upright, and then he evolved according to evolution, and he became a man. Nobody knows where we came from. People say we just came out of Africa, and then after that we stayed in Africa. But the Chinese man went east, the so-called white man went north, and that's how it is. That's how I was taught in school. I was taught that the Chinese man, everybody started in Africa. And the Chinese man went east, and it got too windy over there, so he had to squint his eyes, and that's how his eyes became like that. I was actually taught that, man. I think I was taught that in the 7th grade, and I believe that's an actual thing they teach, man. They said the Chinese man, Japanese eyes, when they went east, it was a lot of wind over there, and they had to squint. That was a real thing that they were. I don't know if they teach that now, right? But that's what they were teaching, man. And the white man, his nose is thin, and he has white, red skin and pale skin because he had to live in the mountains. And his nose began to shrink, and his lips got thin. Let's see if all that's true. And his hair began to get thin, and he started growing tails, and because he went up north in Europe where it was very cold. We have to stop believing the madness, right? Hey, the Bible covers what you call. Let's pull this up. Right? Anthropology. Right? The definition of anthropology, the study of human societies and cultures and their development. Right? Goes back to the word anthrop, meaning man, and ology, meaning the study of. So it's really the study of man. Meaning you can go in the Bible and find every nation. Like we went into before, you have every nation that came out of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. We can go in the Bible and show you about the Moabites, the Edomites. We can go in the Bible and show you about the sons of Martizarium, the Philistines, and that every nation that you read about in the Bible is still prevalent to this day, right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 4 and verse 16, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and 16. It reads, "There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this is vanity and vexation of spirit." So you read about the Canaanites in the Bible, you may say, well, they don't exist anymore. Guess what? The Amorites still exist, right? The Girgashites still exist, the Hittites, the Philistines, the Medes, the Edomites. See, and what the so-called white man has done is he has taken the actual nationalities of everybody on the earth and made it according to what he wanted to call it. So that way nobody can pinpoint and find out who they are in the Bible and find out the judgments that the Most High has for them. And that really started with the Greeks. Well, I had another precept in my mind. Isaiah 25 and 7, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 25 and 7, right? So when the Greeks began to come into power, they took over. It's like they took over different different nations, and they knew what their biblical nationality was because they still kind of went by it, but they said, no, we're not going to call you that. And even to this day, there are certain nations who know that they have a name in the Bible. Like if you meet an Ethiopian, they'll say, I'm Cush. We've met plenty of Ethiopians. And they have professors say, yeah, we're Cushites. We're Cushites. And they say, look, y'all are the Jews. And they might not say it, but they know that. We've seen it at camp plenty of times, man. Taught out in Silver Spring has a high level of Cushites out there. We see them at the harbor with that nasty big head. And they say, hey, look, we're Cush, man. Even certain Arabs, they know that they're Ishmael. They said, oh, yeah, we come from Ishmael. Right? So these nations that have held on to who they are, that have not been really so influenced, because the Cushites haven't been really influenced. Right? They're allegedly one of the few countries in Africa that haven't been colonized. Right? And the Arabs, they don't really get down with the so-called white man. So they have held on to particular customs, and they still know who they are. Right? And a lot of these ancient nations know who they are. But let me get this in Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7. It reads, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. So a mountain is a kingdom. So this kingdom is America. And what is the Most High going to destroy in America? The face of covering cast over all people. So everybody has a veil. They're walking in darkness. They're walking blindly, not knowing who they are, man. You have the Moabite man in America who says that he's an American. You have the Hamite man, whether you're from Foot or Canaan, or it's like a Canaan or Lud or whatever the case may be, right? You have that man walking around saying that he's a black man. I've seen actual Africans. I'm a black man. I can't do a Hamite accent, but they say they're a black man sometimes, man. Everybody's destroyed, and everybody's walking around in darkness. That's why Revelation, it's like, and it says, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So all nations are under a veil. All nations are under gross darkness. Nobody knows their heritage. Nobody knows who they are. The Hamites don't know who the Hamites are. The Edomites, some of these Edomites, they don't even know that they're the Edomites, man. You know, and we're going to go in the Bible and show you where we're going to pinpoint two different sons of Shem, right? That kept the Shemitic nations and their origin, right? Now I'm gonna pull this up on the map. If you look up let's see if we can get this ancient map of Africa, right? Let me see if I can get this. Not, I'll just deal with a modern day map. Now check this out. This is and brothers, certain brothers, you know this already, right? But if you pull up an ancient map, so it's good to go into cartography and geography, right? So I want to see if this loads up. Now, the Cushites, the word Cush, let's see if we can see this. Okay, so the word Cush, it means a dark or burnt face, right? Or dark. That's really what it means. Now, when a so-called white man, he went over there, he called it Ethiopia, right? We know Ethiopia is a Greek word. So he said, look, we're not going to call you the biblical Cushites. We're going to call you Ethiopians. Let me see if I can get a better map. When a so-called white man went into the land, let's see. So here's an older map. They have Egypt, Somali. I wondered, let's see. Okay, Khan. So here's the word Ethiopia, right? Or Ethiopia, how we pronounce it present, which they label really a great portion of East Africa was given that entire title, right? And now you have the so-called white man who says, no, we're not going to call them the Cushites. We're going to colonize his land and call it Ethiopia, right? So that's actually a Greek word. Even the word Egypt is a Greek word that means bondage. Those men never called themselves Egyptians, but that's what the Edomites called them. The Edomites called the Moabite, man. They called them the Chinese, right? Every nation who has had their heritage and their nationality taken away from them, right? See that? Cushites, the Cushites. And you have the sons of Martezariah, right? We're known as the Israelites, but we have had our heritage taken away and stripped away from us, man. So now we don't even know who we are as a nation of people, because the so-called white man has robbed the earth of the of direction, you know, and now nobody can pinpoint who they are in the Bible. So when you go into Genesis, the 25th chapter, right, and I'm gonna get straight to the point. We're going to focus on two nations, right? Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Isaac begot, it's like Abraham begot Isaac, right? And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister to Laban, a Syrian. And if you've been watching the biblical history series I've been doing, we've covered this. We've covered where Rebekah's from, who Bethuel is, from Padan Aram, which is modern day Syria, and Mesopotamia. So Isaac, remember, the servant went to receive Rebekah unto Isaac, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So Rebekah began to be pregnant, right? And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire the Lord. So you have twins in the womb, obviously, because it's not singular as in child, plural, more than one, children. They're struggling within her. What does the word struggle mean? Right? A fight, an altercation, to go against. So you have two nations fighting amongst one another. We're going into the origin of the so-called white man, because we're not going to go off of his thing, man. Right? Let me see if I can get that. Look at this madness. His monkey to man. Look at this. We were taught to believe this, man. And here's one of his greatest deceptions. You have people to this day that still go for this. We're not going for this no more. When did the Most High say, look at this. Look at this. Hold on. Fossil find. Look at this. Fossil find. And this is kids' news. Fossil find could be the missing link between apes and humans. So we started off like this. Show me the book, chapter, and the verse when we ever look like this guy right here. That's madness. Or we look like this guy. Right? That did not happen, man. Whoever drew this is almost worse than white Jesus. Between white Jesus, this painting, and a few others I could think of, I mean, they are used as a high level of sorcery, man, and great deception. Now, this is how the white man wants you to believe that man came, because they don't want you to find out who they are in the Bible. If you believe this, that means you're not going to believe this. You're not going to go in the word and see where these nations came from, because back then, everybody knew that you had to go to the Bible to figure out where every nation came from, huh? Where the Moabites came from, where the Israelites, where the Ammonites, where the Cushites, you know, the sons of Martezariah. Everybody knew that the Bible was a book of records of the nations and their origin. But now when the Edomites came into power, pursuing to Isaiah 25 and 7 and other great precepts, they have robbed the people of knowledge, man, right? And set themselves up with their own creation theory. Where's the half monkeys at? Look at this. Madness. And really, this is Esau. He's the one that looked like this. And what he does is he'll give a false date. He'll say this is around 10,000 BC. right? Let's see. When did cavemen exist? All right. Let's see. Look at this. 2.5 million years ago. Right? Are we supposed to believe that? He just gives wild dates out there that you can't trace. Yeah, well, we're going to say 2.5. How do you even come up with a number like that? Well, the so-called white man, he does carbon dating. And well, that's been found to be a lie. Where there's fossils. And well, look, the Most High has the earth for only so many years old, man. And it's definitely not 2.5 million years old, man. I believe he says 4.6, and man is not 2.5 million years old, right? 10,000 BC. He wants you to believe that this is around the time of 10,000 BC. That's no more than damn 2,500 years ago, man. You know, when a so-called white man was in the caves. So we're not going to believe and say, well, that's 10,000 BC, and you know, we discovered fire. And these are his lies, right? Let's see this. Who discovered fire? Right? They said that the so-called white man discovered fire. Benjamin Franklin discovered lightning. Look at this. The discovery of fire. We must come out of the so-called white man's education system, huh? That he discovered fire. He discovered lightning. This is madness. The first fire. Right? Done by the Edomites. Look at that guy. All right. So we're gonna have to come out of this madness, man. This is nothing but witchcraft and sorcery to seduce you and make you think that the so-called white man is the origin of understanding, knowledge. He discovered fire, he discovered lightning, he invented this, he did that. It's nothing but sorcery. But we're going to go in the Bible and show you it's the Most High speaking about this, where the so-called white man came from. Is he speaking about this, or is it something different, man? Right, so let's go back to this. Genesis chapter 25 and 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. Meaning, if this is a blessing from the Most High, right? If I couldn't conceive or bear children, and you finally open up my womb, then why am I going through such pains? You know, a woman deal with that, man. They'll deal with, oh, the baby's moving, they got to sit down, or, oh, he's kicking. And this was worse than, oh, he's just kicking. A mother still do that. They'll say, look, he's kicking. They'll move their shirt or their dress, and you know, the husband, he'll say, oh, wow, that's my boy right there. Oh, that's his foot. Well, you see him right there. He's over. And they kind of make light of it. And it may hurt a little bit, but this had to be excruciating pain. They're literally fighting every day in the womb. And they can't figure this thing out. They went to inquire of the Lord. What does it mean they went to inquire of the Lord? Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 9. Right? It says they went to inquire of the Lord. 1 Samuel chapter 9 and 9. It reads, before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, like Rebekah, right? Like Isaac, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called the seer. Right? So when men needed direction and men needed guidance, they would go unto a seer. This is how it was before time. In the ancient times, if you needed answers, you had to go to a prophet. Moses is not the first prophet. Right? Noah, you've always had prophets on the earth that the Most High set up to inquire of, to pronounce judgment, to warn his people. That's why in Luke chapter 1 and 70, the Most High said that the prophets have been since the world began. So Rebekah and Isaac went to inquire of a prophet. Now, is the prophet named? No. Is every prophet named in the Bible? No. When you read First Kings, Elijah, he fed over 400 prophets with bread and water. Did he give a name for every one of those prophets? No. Sometimes a prophet is just labeled a man of God. and sometimes their name is mentioned. Right? This is Luke chapter 1, right? And I'm going to get verse 68. It reads, "Blessed," this Zechariah speaking, the father of John the Baptist. "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. And as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us." So we said that the Most High spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So since the time of Adam, you've always had prophets out there. You've always had holy men out there, right? And they went to inquire of one of the seers. So Jeremiah was a seer. Isaiah, Ezekiel, before they were called prophets, they were called seers. And that's what this means. They went to inquire of the Lord, right? Because remember, the prophets are the voice piece of the Most High. So we'll read on to 23. "And the Lord said unto her," does that mean the Most High was speaking directly to from the third heaven? He had a speaker system. He had a Bose, Beats pill, and the Bluetooth. Okay, Isaac. Okay, plug up the Beats pill. Not the blue one. Okay, the green one. Right. Then he plugged up the green one, and then the Most High, he tapped the mic, testing, hit the mic, turned it off, turned it back on. Right. Asked Gabriel to put new batteries in it. Gabriel untwisted, kind of put the new batteries in it, put the one side, with the positive up, and then he put the one side with the negative down, put the pack back on it, twisted it back up, gave back to the Most High. The Most High blew in the mic again and said, "Two nations." No, that's not what happened, man. Right? The Most High doesn't have a microphone up there. When it says the Lord said unto her, that's the prophets speaking. Right? Let's get that in the book of Haggai. Right? Let's go to Haggai, the first chapter. Right? Now the Most High can speak through an angel. Right? He can speak through an angel in a chariot, like in Job. He can speak through a prophet. So this is Job. It's like a Haggai chapter 1. It's like, is that what I want? Haggai chapter 1 and 13. "Then Haggai, the Lord's messenger, and the Lord's message unto the people." It's like, it then spake Haggai, the Lord's messenger, and the Lord's messenger unto the people, saying, "I am with you, said the Lord." So yeah, the Lord said it, but who really said it? Haggai, the prophet, or the seer. Yes, it says, "I am with you, said the Lord," but that doesn't mean the Most High was speaking directly from the third heaven, right? It was Haggai saying that. So he would say, "The Lord said this," or "I am with you." But we know that that's the Most High, right? When you go to Jeremiah chapter 38, it says the same thing, the exact same thing. Right? So like in Jeremiah chapter 38 and 20. "But Jeremiah said, They shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord, which I speak unto thee, so it shall be well unto thee, and thy soul shall live." So the voice of the Lord, like during the time of Adam, those are the prophets. Jeremiah said, "Listen to the voice of the Lord that I speak unto thee." Same thing in Genesis, like I brought out earlier. All right, Genesis chapter 3, and I'll read verse 8. "And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden." So they hid from the prophets. They went amongst the other nations. And that's what Israel does. Read the book of Jeremiah. The Most High sent Jeremiah to warn them before judgment, and they hid amongst the Egyptians. Right? The Most High sends Israel to do God knows what, man, and keep the commandments and hide amongst the other nations and serve their gods. This is what happened during the time of Adam. They heard the voice of the Lord, and they didn't want to get right, man. So they went amongst the other nations. That's that voice. So when you go back to Genesis, the Lord said it to her, really, it's the prophets. And what did they say? "Two nations are in thy womb, And two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So here you have two nations. Remember, the Bible consists, the most documents, let me see if I can get this, 18 nations. Right? Salakia, bear with me. I'm going to pull up the 18 nations for brothers that don't know. Right? The Most High has created 18 nations of people. And now, at this time, you're going to find the two last nations being created, essentially. Right? So you have Yasha'Allah, that's one nation. You have Adawam, Ayalam, Ashawar, Aram, Yashmaya Mawa'abah. Slakia, bear with me. Here we have it. Right? Mawa'abah, Imawan, Kawash, Matazarium, Pawad, Kainain, Gamar, Magawad, Yawan, Ashkenaz, Darashiash, and Kathayim. Right? These are your 18 nations. And now we're reading about to it. Now, during this time, you already had these other nations, right? You had the Mawabah, the Moabites. You had Yashma'ala, right? You had these different nations. Some of your oldest nations are what? Kathayim, the Rashiash, Yawan, Magawad, Gamar. These are some of your older, most ancient nations, right? Kawash, Martazarium, and then you had nations that came as you read Genesis. So when you read Genesis, the 16th chapter, that's the beginning of what we have, right? Yashma'alim, right? Your so-called Arabs. They came around the time of Genesis 16. Then you read Genesis 19, that's when Imawan comes into play. So these nations are formed throughout time, right? Yes, man was there, but these different nations are being formed as time goes on in the Bible. That's why in Genesis 16, you read about the Arabs, so-called Arabs, or Ishmael. And then in Genesis 19, you read about the so-called Japanese man and the so-called Chinese man, you know? And then later in Genesis 25, you have two of the last nations being created, man, right? Which are the Israelites, Yasha'Allah, and then you have the Edomites, Adawam. So these are your two last nations. We're the last nation literally put out, man, by the Most High. And Esau second from last. See, Ayalam, they're an ancient older nation, one of the sons of Shem. Ashur, same thing with Aram. These are nations that came out of Shem. So really, these nations are older than us, you know? But what did the Most High say? Does that matter? Let's go to Matthew chapter 20 real quick, right? Those nations state they lived on the earth prior to the nation of Israel, but on a deeper level, they came out of the sons of God anyway. They came out of Shem anyway, you know? This Matthew chapter 20 and verse 16. So the last shall be first, and the first last, for many be called, but few are chosen. And even applying to the other nations, we're the last nation, right? But we're going to be first. And we are the firstborn of the Most High. And the first last, for many be called, but few chosen. So it doesn't matter if you were born last or if you was born second. It's all according to the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? So the Most High said 2 nations are in thy womb, right? The definition of a nation is a great multitude that consists of men, women, children. I want to go to the etymology of this word, right? Let's go to etymology of the word nation or nations. I believe it goes back to nativity or nateo, which means origin, right? If I'm not mistaken, we're going to double check and confirm that. So we can go into what this word nations mean. In the Hebrew, that's Gayawam, right? Which just means nations, right? But I want to go into it, right? In the etymology. right? Etym, it means truth, and ology, meaning the study of. So it's a study of the origin, right? Or the truth. Nation, a race of people, large group of people with common ancestry, right? It means it's like directly from the Latin nationum, meaning birth, origin, breed, stock, kind, species, race of people, tribe, literally that which has been born from natus, a past participle of nasai, which means to be born. So that's what the word nation means. It goes back to the word natus, meaning to be born, but really chiefly born of a common ancestry, right? Or a particular race of people, right? So you have two different races in the womb, two different breeds, two different stocks, two different kinds of people, two different species, right? Two different species that's in the womb. Two groups of people with a common ancestry, because ultimately to go back to Isaac and Abraham, right? Abraham's father, Terah, and Terah's father, Nahor, and etc. Right? But essentially, these are two different breeds, two different stocks, right? That's why it says two nations are in thy womb and two manner of people, right? Two manner of people, meaning two different races. Manner genetically, two a different manner physically, two different manner spiritually. The so-called white man, he has what you call recessive genes. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Let's see. Right, so Salaki for all of the typing. Right, I spelled that wrong, but that's all right. See that? Blonde hair, blue eyes are recessive traits. Right? While brown eyes and hair are dominant. Right? Recessive means weak. We're two different nations of people. When they speak about, okay, well, blonde hair, blue eyes, I've seen Jake with blonde hair. We've seen you, the Odell Beckhams, Chris Brown, Beyonce, Rihanna, all these celebrities, you get that blonde hair. You know, that's recessive. Recessive means weak, degenerative, right? Damn, something that you just don't want to have, man. But when you have that brown skin with the melanin, the woolly hair, those are excellent traits, man. See that? Look at this. People are asking questions now. Right? People are asking questions. We're not going to go deep into the so-called white man science, but it's easy to see what nation physically dominate, man. Do they physically dominate? No, they have to put on suntan lotion, SPF 3000. I've never put on SPF. I've never put on suntan lotion in my life. From the time I was born to the age I am now, I have yet to put on suntan lotion. SPF 5. I don't even know. I've never had suntan lotion in my house growing up. Never had it in my grandmother's house, my folks' house. Never had it in my house. Don't know where to get it. Don't know how much it costs. Don't know how to put it on. I don't know anything about it. I think they put it on their nose or I don't know, man. You know? But this is what they know about. That's their thing. These are your and these are the worst, man. I believe they say if you have orange or red hair, you're the worst of the worst. You're on your way out. I believe they say they're going extinct, right? What they call ginger, right? They're going out soon, man. Right? So these are two different matter of people. Right? Esau has recessive genes, right? He has traits that are inferior. Right? That's what the Mosai said, that he would be the basis of men. Let's go to Daniel chapter 4. Right? He has inferior traits. And we all know that. Right? Even when you look at sports, let's just take it there. Let's be simple about it. Who dominates all of the sports? The Israelites, man. Right? Who dominates fashion, music, dance, intellect, spiritual matters? Who has the most common sense, understanding? The Israelites, man. We're two different manner of people. Esau's eating food with blood in it. He's going skydiving. This man will jump. It'll be a hole in the middle of the earth, and Esau will hook himself up to a cord and jump down in that hole. I'm not jumping down in some hole in the middle of the earth. You know, they'll go on the top of a damn. I see Edomites on videos. They on purpose, they go on the top of a building just to hang off of it and get their rocks off, man, like an eagle. They just go up there and hang off and start freaking off because they get to hang so high, man. They're jumping out of a plane. You know, they're I mean, these guys, they do the absolute most when it comes to things outside of understanding. But this Daniel 4:17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Base meaning low, right? They're the lowest of men. He has taken the most inferior nation and set them up, man. Like the brother said, climbing to the peak of mountains. You know, I mean, it's completely off, man. They don't age well, right? They don't age well at all, man. That's why they have to have Botox, plastic surgery. A plastic surgery is for the so-called white man. Look how they ate this. He already, come on now. This guy's already done. Look at this. If my child came out looking like this, oh my God, I would lose my mind. Right? I would lose my mind. Right? They say your freckles are cute. Right? They say, oh, your orange hair. Oh, she's so. Hey, guess what, man? We don't want to look like that. Right? We don't want to look like that. So these are two different manner of people, genetically, spiritually, mentally, physically. We're mentally stronger than the so-called white man. Right? He was killing himself during the Great Depression. And when Esau don't have no money, they commit suicide. You know, they start doing meth. You know, Jake, that they fight, man. They pinch, they get another job, they make things happen, they'll catch the bus, and Esau, he'll just off himself. He will off himself. Esau's into pedophilia. Like I said, I can go all day. He kills wild creatures for no reason. You'll see him torturing a cat, taking a magnifying glass and killing ants, man. Who thinks of such things? Well, let's take a glass and we'll hold it up to the sun and let's destroy the ants and the creeping things. Let's just cut down all of the trees. Let's dig a hole and all the way down into the center of the earth and spew out oil. I hate these people, man. Now you say, whoa. Now, what do you? Hey, guess what I said? What I said, man. And it is what it is. So let's go back to this. Two manner of people. You can go hours just speaking on this, man. Shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So who's stronger? The Israelites. Right? We're the only nation that can do certain things. Man, the Lord called us gods. Right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 82. Right? We can do godlike features or feats. There are certain things that the other nations just can't do. They're working out right now. I see these Edomites running. They'll never be faster than Usain Bolt. You see them working hard in the gym. They'll never be like Jordan or Kobe. They can't do what LeBron James or Steph Curry or these guys can do, man. That's why the so-called white man has something called the Great White Hope. There's no such thing as the Black Hope. They have a great white hope because they're just hoping that there could be some white man that can compete, right? Psalms 82:6. I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. So we are actual walking gods on the earth, made in the image and likeness of the Most High God. We're the physical embodiment when we're in our natural estate, in our righteous estate. We're the physical embodiment of righteousness. When you look at us as a nation of people, you're supposed to see righteousness, holiness. And when you look at Esau, you're supposed to see demons and Satan, man. We are gods, and Esau, he's a devil. Let's go to Acts chapter 28, right? In verse 6. Who can do what Joseph did? Joseph, he single-handedly, through the spirit and inspiration of Yahweh Shai, restored the entire Egyptian empire. Those nasty Africans couldn't do that. I thought the Egyptians were supposed to be somebody, man. I thought they were supposed to be the ancient founders of science and ancient Kemet and the ancient books of medicine and ancient Anubis. And well, why did the Hebrew go in there and look at what the hell was going on and put everything together and restored an economy that was crumbling, man? Nobody can do what Joseph did. Nobody could think like Joseph. And he came up with it in the spot, man, because the Most High was with him. Who can interpret dreams and do things that Daniel did? These nations can't interpret dreams. That's why they have psychologists, psychiatrists. They run experiments on you. You know, they give you pills. But we can tap into brother spirits and interpret their thoughts, man. We can do things that no other nation can do. We could literally, even Yahweh Shah said he could call it to the Most High, and 12 legions of angels can come down. Can other nations do that? Can they summon 12 legions of angels? And you can do that though, man. You can summon angels at your will if you believe. You know, you can cast out demons. You can do things that these nations, they think is incomprehensible. You have chariots around you. Everywhere you walk, you have invisible angels with a sword ready to slay. Wherever you walk, man, you are protected by angels. You are a god. These other nations don't have angels around them. They don't have chariots just hovering over them, guiding them. That's how peculiar we are. We're so different that we have spiritual things, invisible things protecting us as we move. We're physically strong. We're mentally strong. That they want to resemble us physically. Hey, man, I love being an Israelite, man. If I was another nation, if I woke up, God forbid, looking like a Moabite, man, I would fast for about till all hell break loose, man. I don't want to look like a Moabite, man. Right? But let me get this in Acts 28:6. Howbeit they looked when he should have swollen. So here you have these men looking at the Apostle Paul, right? Or falling down dead suddenly. But after they had looked a great while and saw no harm come to him, they changed their minds and said that he was a god. So they saw the Apostle Paul and the spirit that was on him. They said, this man is a god. They said, Daniel has the spirit of the holy gods. The Philistines said, the ancient gods are come down unto us. You know? And these other nations, they know you're greater than them. So let's go back to this in Genesis 25. We're the people that's stronger than the other people. You know, Esau, he wanted to do his competitions, the world's strongest man. Let's pull this up. Who's the world's strongest man? I guarantee they're going to have a so-called white man with an orange beard. Right? Let's see. World's strongest man. Esau is not the strongest man. Now, there's a brother, I can't think of his name, but he's breaking records. He's holding the pillars, right? He's lifting stuff. Look at this. Do I believe this guy, the beast? Do I believe he's the strongest man? No, look at this guy. Right? The world's strongest man is a white man. Let's stop playing games, man. right? Let's stop playing games. Let's see, the strongest man, right? The strongest man is an Israelite, man. Nobody was stronger than Samson. Nobody was stronger than David. Now you got this guy, Mark Henry. He's the world's strongest man. You know? And then you got this new guy, man. Like I said, I can't think of his name, but he's the new strongest man. And he beat out the so-called white man. You know, I can't think of his name, but you know, we're stronger, we're faster, we're smarter. And the other part of the verse, it says the elder shall serve the younger. So whoever of these twins comes out first, they're going to serve the younger. Genesis 25 and 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And these are what you call fraternal twins. You have identical twins and fraternal twins. Fraternal twins, they come out, but they don't look exactly the same, right? And I have to keep going to these images just so brothers can see, right? So here are fraternal twins. This is what the so-called white man calls them, right? So yes, they are twins. They were born at the same time, but they don't always necessarily look alike, right? They're fraternal twins. You have identical twins and you have fraternal twins. See that? Look at that. These are both Israelites, I believe. But one came out red and one came out looking normal. You see that? These are two sisters. And I saw this on social media not too long ago. And it's not the first case. You have plenty of cases where you have twins and one comes out looking like a so-called white woman or white man, and one comes out looking like a so-called black man. It happens all the time. All right, let me see if I can actually type that in. White and black twins. It's lucky. So that's a real thing. All right, let's pull this up. So people say, well, how could Esau, how is he the white man when Isaac was a so-called black man and Rebecca was a so-called black woman? How could it be possible for Esau to come out looking that way? Well, hold on, bro. That happens all the time. It's not something new. It's not something that, well, it's a new thing. That has always happened, man. See that? UK twins, these are actual twins. One is white and the other is black. See that? They're actual twins, man. And they look, what that's Esau and that's Jacob or Sheshaw, right? And Eve right there, man. Actual twins. Because we dealt with scoffers where that doesn't make sense. Esau came out red. Well, that means so and so and so and so. We're showing you straight up in the Bible, right? Let's see. Hold on. I think I don't know if their father's an Edomite or not, but you can see one came out dark and one came out light. Right? So you can't, we're not making this up. And I know this one is mad. This one is mad that she don't look like this one. See, she got blue eyes, thin lips, thin nose. She has brown eyes and strong facial features. Right? It happens all the time. One's dark, one came out light. Same thing. Jacob, Esau. Same thing. Those are same twins. Right? Look at that. And a red man. Now look at this one. Black and white twins. Right? That's an Israelite right there, man. And one came out dark, one came out light. We're not making this up. This is not something far-fetched. It's not hard to understand. It happens all the time. right? And Genesis 25 is just giving you a great account of it, man. Right? Giving you a great account of it. Now, when you go back to Genesis 25, we're going to read about it. There were twins in her womb, and the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now, Esau came out red. What does that mean he came out red? His blood shows forth through his skin. The so-called white man in its natural estate and its natural climate, who's supposed to be from that region, right, which is on the continent of Africa, the land of Israel, he came out red. His blood was showing forth through his skin. Let's see newborn Salakia baby. All right, I already know they're going to show a white man, white baby, more than likely. Look at this. All right, let's pull this up. Look at this baby. So they come out red. I mean, that's red right there. Plain upon tables. This is how Esau came out. Red all over. And it's not normal to look like this. But, you know, newborn babies are naturally, they grow complexion throughout time. Any man that has a child, you know that. Your child may come out light, but, you know, it takes a while for that melanin. I'm not a scientist, right? But it takes a while for that melanin to kick in, for lack of better terms. And then they get darker, and then they features start coming in, and you finally see who they are, man, and process of time. You know, but Esau, he never got to get equipped with that melanin. He stayed that color, and he looked worse, right? See, Jacob came out looking like this. See that? And Esau came out looking like this. Here's the twins again. These are girls. Jacob, Esau. She's red. You can see her red features, and she's not. You know? There you have it. Now, Esau looking like this is really a curse, right? This goes ultimately, we're going to go deep into it. This ultimately goes back into Cain, right? So let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Right? Let's go to Genesis, the 4th chapter. So that ultimately goes back to Cain, because remember, the Most High set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Right? So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 4. And I'm going to get straight to the point. Genesis chapter 4 and 15. And the Lord said unto him, right? Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So we always, or people wonder, why does Esau look like that? Why does he stick out like that? The Most High made him stick out like a sore thumb. He's the only nation that looks like that. All the other nations, they have somewhat dark features. Even Moabites are naturally dark. You have dark Moabites, right? You have dark Ammonites. But Esau, you have dark Ishmaelites, right? You have dark, I've seen Elamites that are darker than myself. But Esau is the only nation who doesn't have a dark counterpart or any dark within him. Because ultimately, he's Cain back on the earth. Now, how do you know that? You always have to have the righteous against the wicked. You have to have the sons of the Most High God. You have to have the sons of the serpent. Let's get that in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. And no matter what, these two forces have to be on the earth, right? You always have to have the sons of the wicked, and you always have to have the sons of the righteous. There has to be a just balance, right? So during the time of Adam, you had the seed line of Seth, that was the righteous, and you had the seed of Cain, that was the wicked. And the sons of Cain had no melanin. That mark was them being stripped away of what they actually look like. But then you had the flood, and the flood destroyed everybody. So the Most High had to bring that seed line of the righteous back on the earth through Jacob, and bring that seed line of the wicked back on the earth through Esau. So that's why Esau came out looking like that, because that's essentially that mark that Cain had coming back on the earth, right? Genesis chapter 3 and 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's what the Lord said unto the serpent. You're going to have enmity, hatred, variance between the serpent seed line and the woman. Now, this deeply goes into ultimately Israel and Esau, because Esau, he comes from that serpent, not physically by blood per se, but ultimately he has that same spirit, right? He has that same spirit that the serpent had. That's why he's called the serpent. That old devil called the serpent, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Now, Cain was moving in the same spirit of the serpent. So you had the serpent, then you had Cain, and then Cain died and his descendants throughout the flood. And then that serpent bloodline had to come back on the earth. And he came back on the earth as Esau. You know? That's why Esau does the same thing that the serpent does. That's why it says, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. You know? So when you go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter, you read about Cain receiving that mark upon him. That's not a stamp on his forehead. Oh, you've been a bad boy, right? Or a frowny face or shame. No, that mark is being completely taken away. Your melanin and your dark nature. You know? Before it says, lest any finding him should kill him. So the Most High didn't want anybody to kill Cain, because the Most High, he's the one that's going to render vengeance unto for Abel, for his murder. So the Lord has reserved Esau for himself, or reserved Cain for himself. Now in Genesis 25, that's him coming back on the earth all over again. The first came out red all over like an hairy garment, because you had garments back then that were red, right? Let's see. Ram skin dyed red. I believe that's in Exodus. Right? He came out red all over like an hairy garment. All right, let me get that real quick. I believe that's in the book of Exodus. Right? Exodus chapter 25 and 5. And ram skin dyed red, and badger skin, and shittim wood. So they would take skin, cloth, hairy cloth, and dye it red. So Esau came out that color of a hairy garment that was dyed red. Right? And thou shalt make a covering for the Exodus 26 and 14. And thou shalt make a covering of the tent of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering above badger skin. So when he said Esau came out red all over like a hairy garment, you had garments that were dyed red completely from top to bottom, and Esau came out with that same color. You know? So let's go back to that. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Because remember, garments were dyed different colors. You had garments that were dyed blue, purple. Even Esau had different garments that he wore. Right? When you read Genesis, the 27th chapter, you know, and they called his name Esau. Now, when you go into this word Esau, I have to see, I believe the so-called white man says something different. Right? I want to touch on this. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. I believe they say the word Esau means hairy. Right? And that's not what it means. Let's see. Hairy. Yeah, the word Esau doesn't mean hairy. Right? The word Esau it's Ishashwa. Right? Wa is a suffix, a masculine suffix that means he. When you add that wa to the end, you make it masculine. Right? So you have masculine suffixes, or you can have it feminine. You have these different, and that's in every language, right? Spanish, French, right? But really, ultimately, that's in the Hebrew, right? Certain words have a masculine meaning. Certain words have a feminine meaning. So when you add wa at the end, it makes it masculine. So Aishash, wa, it means Literally, it means he wasted. He wasted. It doesn't mean hairy. Right? See, and that's Esau trying to cover his tracks in the blue letter. They're trying to cover their tracks. You got to be careful sometimes, man. Right? He wasted. Now, he was called Esau, Ishashwa, because what? When he came out, his melanin was wasted away. And he came out looking like this. And when they said Esau, they weren't looking at him like, oh, wow. Ooh. Oh, boy, look at that. Esau. Yeah, I like the name Esau. Esau. No, man, they said Esau, Ishashwa. Imagine your son coming out like that. Oh, God damn. Oh, whoa. What happened? That was the reaction of Isaac. They called his name Esau, man, because it wasn't normal to look like that. Now it says he came out red, you know, and that's how his descendants look. They are indeed red. They call them rednecks, right? Down south. Their blood shows forth through their skin. So let's go back to Genesis 25, right? And they called his name Esau, Genesis 25 and 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. You see that? So Isaac and Rebekah, Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, and it, you know, they was trying to have children, but by the age of 60, they finally conceived. And Jacob, we all know that his physical description isn't being described because Jacob looked like everybody else, right? This is how Jacob came out. Esau came out like this. Jacob came out like this. And they were fighting in the womb so much that Jacob, his hand took hold on Esau's heel. Now, brothers, we know what that means. His hand took hold on Esau's heel. Meaning, where are you going? I'm not done with you. Why are you running away from me? So essentially, Esau was trying to get the hell out, man. Trying to escape that butt whipping, for lack of better terms, that Jacob was giving him, man. Running away. And Jacob said, well, I'm not done with you. Come here. Esau probably, get off me, right? I'm done. You got it. You got it. And then came out, man. He was getting beat up in the womb, came out the womb and got insulted by his own folks and said, look, he's wasted. You know? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6. What does that mean? His hand took hold on Esau's heel, man. So Esau had it bad. 9 months of getting the hands put on you by your brother, just to come out the womb and be insulted by your father and by your mother. Right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Right? 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 8. It reads, I'm going to start at 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So when is the power dynamic going to shift? When are we going to rule and these nations going to be and subject to us? That's what Ezra asked. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So that was symbolic for us taking the so-called white man down in the last days. You see that? So if you didn't have the Apocrypha, how do these Christians break down Esau getting his heel grabbed by Jacob? How do they break that down if they don't read the Apocrypha? Because the Apocrypha makes it plain. Jacob took his heel down because we're taking the so-called white man down. He's going to be taken down in the last days. The Most High said that he will be chased out of the world. All right, let's go to Job chapter 18. All right, let's go to Job chapter 18. That he will be chased out of the world. And he's not going to be taken down by the Chinese man. he's going to be taken down by the Israelite man. Now, ultimately, those nations are going to destroy America. We understand that, but ultimately, rounding them up, putting them in slavery after Yahweh returns, that's going to be done against Esau, man. Right? Let me get this. This is Job chapter 18 and verse 18. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world. And that's speaking about Esau. He's going to be literally chased out of the world, man. Because nobody wants to deal with this devil anymore. Nobody wants to deal with his dollar, his lies, his deception. And he's going to be literally chased out of the world. You see that? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And really going back to Esau, nobody should want to look like that. You know, you have people. I saw this one thing on Instagram. You have people that, Jake, you'll bleach your skin. A lot of you Benjamites, you into that thing. And you Simeonites. Right? Look at this. You're fighting so hard to look like Esau, not understanding that that's a curse. Look at this. How sad and sick. Look at this. You want to be red. You want to look like, look at this. Look at Eve. I mean, if this doesn't say destroyed, I don't know what does. I don't know what does, man. Effective skin whitening soap. And Eve is going crazy. I'm sure she was about 9 shades darker. Right? Let's see what else we got. Skin bleaching in Jamaica. Yeah, it's a lot of Benjamites. They into that thing, man. It's like and Nigerians. You Hamites. You a Hamite and you snuck on here. You do that too, man. You're into that skin bleaching spirit. Look at this. Sick. Sick. Wants to look like a white woman. Absolutely sick. And destroyed. You know? Look at that. Skin bleaching is a huge epidemic. Every celebrity does it. Beyonce, mainly Eve. A lot of Jakes, they don't really do it, but really it's an Eve thing. Some brothers do it, but it's really like your Beyoncés, your Rihannas, you know, your people who want to freak off in this society. See, that skin bleaching is a huge epidemic for people of color, you know, which it is. We've seen it with our own bodily eyes. All right, so I don't have to go too deep into that. But when you read the law, let's go to Numbers chapter 12. Right, I'm going to show you something about looking like the so-called white man. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12. And I'm going to get straight to the point. Right, this Numbers chapter 12 and verse 10. I'm going to start at 9. And the anger of Yahweh, right, Bashmi Abishai, was kindled against them, and he departed. So you had Aaron and Miriam speak against Moses, right, for marrying a Cushite woman. The Most High came down and rebuked them, and his anger was kindled against Miriam and Aaron. And the cloud, meaning the chariot, departed from off the tabernacle. So the chariot ascended back into the sky. And behold, Miriam was leprous, white as snow, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. So Miriam, hold on, where is it at? Miriam was a dark-skinned woman, a Levite. You know, them Levites have that rich, dark melanin, but the Most High rebuked her, and she began to look like this, right? Began to look like she has leprosy, you know? Yep. You got a lot of people into that thing, man. Right? You have a lot of people getting into that thing. So when you go back, Salaki, bear with me. Right? So Miriam began, she did look like this without the blonde hair. Just imagine having a hair wrap and blonde, woolly hair, right? Dark skin. And the Lord said she became leprous, right? That's a sign of leprosy. When your skin fades and you began to look like a so-called white woman. Reading on. So Miriam, behold, she was leprous, right? And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. So Aaron wasn't pleased about that. He didn't say, damn, oh, praise, look at you. Wow. No, man, he said, oh, wow, alas, is like, damn. I beg you, Lord, please don't have her look like this. We went off, we sinned. Let her not be as one dead. So looking like that, you look like a dead man. Because when you die, you get pale, right? You get a little bit pale and you're melanin and you see, you become a little bit blue and pale in the face. So let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And that's what happened to Esau. That's how we know the word Esau means he wasted. Because his flesh was consumed when he came out of his mother's womb. And he looked dead, man. Like he may have choked on the mother's umbilical cord, or he was getting beat up by Jacob so much, stripped his melanin away and he could barely hang on and he was begging to get out. Right? So Miriam looked like a dead woman. And when you have that leprosy or you have vitiligo, that's your flesh being consumed. Right? And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now. Oh God, I beseech thee. And we want our daughters to be healed, man. We don't want them to look like this. Heal her now, oh God, I beseech thee. Right? Read on. And the Lord said unto Moses, if her father had but spit on her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut up from the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received in again. So looking like the so-called white woman and white man is equivalent to the Most High spitting in your face. So why would you want to look like that? Why would you want to have that blonde hair and no melanin? That's the Most High spitting in your face. I'm not dealing with you. Then chalk it all up, spit in your face, and it is what it is. You look half dead. Your flesh is consumed. God is spitting in your face. You have recessive genes. Your blonde hair is leprosy. I mean, you are just completely done. But our people don't know that. They wasn't taught this. Fathers were spitting in daughters' faces back then. And the Most High spit in Miriam's face. What was the physical effect of that? Her melanin stripped away. Right? Just like that. Right, brother brought up Sammy Sosa. Yeah, Sammy Sosa, he's into that. Look at this. Boy, Sammy Sosa, he's a sad case. Look at this. He has done the tribe of Simeon shame. Look at this madness. That's sick. That's sick. Absolute madness. Right? I mean, ultimately those the curses, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad amongst our people, man. So let's go back to this. Look at this. The 3 Sammy Sosas. Dark skin, light skin, man. The 3 Sammy Sosas. Right? All right, let's move on. Right? Genesis chapter 27, 25 and 27. It reads, and look at it. People probably told her, oh, you look wow, Sammy Sosa, you look amazing. Wow. All the Edomites probably said, oh God, oh boy, look at you. Wow, what have you done? Right? Wow, did you take a shower? Did you, and there was a time when they used to make fun of you, man. You wash your skin, if it was dirty. And Jake, they said if you were had brown skin, it was dirt and a curse. And you had to wash and wash and wash. I gotta get rid of this dark skin, and you keep washing yourself, man. You know, that's sickening. Look at that. Sammy Sosa, and I believe I could be wrong, but that could be a white woman, man. Sammy Sosa, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Look at this. Look at this guy. Like a creep. Look at him. Right? He went from looking like a mighty man to looking like a damn pedophile. Right? Who's meeting a little boy at the damn Walmart, man. You know? With a bag of Cheetos in his hand. Look at this. Let's move on. This makes me sick. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. So Esau was a cunning hunter, right? And we know he's a cunning hunter. He deals with duck calling and bird calls and scent repellent, right? He has all types of traps and maneuvers to catch wild creatures. And really, cunning hunter is deeper than that because he'll hunt down your nationality. He hunts down actual nations of people. He hunted down Gad. He hunted down Reuben. He hunted down Israel. So that hunter is deeper than just taking down a deer with a bow and an arrow. And he's a man of the field. What does that mean, a man of the field? Right? That's what he's that great outdoorsman. When you go to what's the name of that outdoors? Bass Pro Shops. There's another one. I can't think of the name of it. But they got these outdoor shops, man. I think Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops. You know, 9 times out of 10, the Edomites are in there. And they have camouflage, they have that camouflage hat on. They have those sunglasses with the little orange or blue tint in it, camel pants, some nasty brown boots, and dirty blue jeans. And they're picking up guns and weapons, tents and bows and spears, man. That's Esau's thing. That's what they love to do. Oh boy, let's go to Bass Pro Shops. Jake is not saying let's go to Bass Pro Shops or Outdoor World. That's what it is. I don't want to go to Outdoor World. If I had 3 hours of free time, do you think I want to go to Outdoor World? No. Now, if I want to get, go fishing, the brothers, we're going fishing today. Hey, look, okay, let's get you whatever. But I'm not. Esau goes there and they got the kids place where the kids can kind of play, and because Esau's going to be there for a while. So they got the little kids place, they got a little food place for the Edomites, go and get you some whatever. And then they got the little place for the women to sit down and Esau kind of walk around and freak off, man. So he's a man of the field. It says, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Right? Now, Jacob was a plain man. Now, this word plain man, right? That's why it's going to the Hebrew. Right? This word plain, let's go into it. It's important to go into that Hebrew. Right? So here's the word plain in the Hebrew. Right? It means perfect, complete, perfect. One who lacks nothing in physical strength, beauty, sound, wholesome, an ordinary, quiet sort of person, completely morally innocent, having integrity, one who is morally and ethically pure, meaning he was a righteous man, right? Just keeping the commandments, right? Like the Lord said in 1 Timothy. And I'm led to believe, it's not in there, but I'm led to believe Esau was breaking the Sabbath. Esau was eating food with blood in it already. He was doing God knows what, man. But Jacob was just keeping the commandments. That's us. You give Jake a Bible. And it's truth to give Jake a Bible. You know, Jake, you'll sit down and watch a few videos. You know, you'll chill, man. You might, take a nap, get up. You know, you might have a glass of wine. Hey, if there's a fight on, you got some spare, somebody put on a fight, or the big game. You know what I'm saying? If you got your studying, reading in, or whatever, you play some music, you chill out, man. You know, and you'll just relax. You might get up and throw up a few prayers to the Most High. You know, you fall down to the east, you pray. Or you might check on your brother. Hey, how you doing? You all right? And you know, how you holding up? Right? You know, you'll go keep the feet. You're a plain man. We're a very simple people. We're like sheep. We don't need a lot to keep us occupied, to excite us, man. Right? You know, you got your woman. You might have you a glass of wine. You know, you don't need much, man, to satisfy Jake. Jake, you don't have to have what Esau has, man. Esau has to do the most, right? Just to get his rocks off, man. He has to sky, because being with a woman is not enough for Esau, man. You know, that's enough for Jake. You got your woman, you kind of laid up. You might be, on a date with your woman, or you watching a movie, or y'all might do whatever, or you playing with your children, and that's enough for Jake, man. But Esau, he doesn't love women. He's a natural born homosexual, right? So that's just not going to satisfy him. He has to be with another man. He has to climb out of a plane. He has to bungee jump off of a bridge. He has to kill, like I brought out in Genesis 27. Let me get this in Genesis 27. Right? He has to go above and beyond just to satisfy himself. And that shows you he's not right, man. His soul, which is lifted up, it's not upright in him, man. Right? But the just shall live by faith. See that the brother said, we just explained his daily routine, man. Brother said, give him a cold beer and he's good, man. Right? Jake, you might, you throw a steak on the grill, or you might make some salmon. You might get into it, man. You give Jake a grill, a few brothers, man, and maybe a glass of wine or two or some beer. That's all you need, man. A little bit of music, and that's it. And that's all you need. You don't have to pull out guns and start shooting them. And then again, y'all are diving in the deep hole in the middle of the earth. We don't make trips like that. I've never heard a group of brothers say, do y'all feel like diving into a cave in the middle of the earth? And they buy the cords. Bro, we're not doing that. Free range mountain climbing with no harness, right? Just climbing a damn mountain with no safety gear. That's madness. Genesis chapter 27. Now, this is how Esau comforts himself, right? Genesis chapter 27 and 41. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. So how does Esau comfort himself? He has to kill. That's how he comforts himself, right? But we read in Genesis, or we went into that with Isaac in Genesis 24. Isaac was comforted after his mother's death by laying down with Rebekah. That's what Isaac needed. He needed a woman, affection, quality time, a woman to hold it down with him. He was comforted by receiving a righteous woman. That doesn't comfort Esau. Esau has to kill. That's what the Most High said in Proverbs, the 4th chapter. They sleep not unless they cause some to fall, and their sleep is taken away from them. They can't sleep. They can't rest. They don't get comfort unless they kill. And then they get they rocks are off, and now they can go to sleep. That's Esau. They gotta kill. Just some rest now. Press the button, blow up a hospital, blow up a city, do a mass shooting, commit witchcraft. Then they could finally kick my feet up. That's the only way Esau can relax, man. He has to do evil. He has to do evil on the earth. You know? So let's go back to this. So I want to get this precept of 1 Thessalonians. Right? This sounds like Jacob right here. Right? A plain man. 1 Thessalonians 4:11, and that ye study to be quiet and to do your own business and to work with your own hands as we commanded you. Right? That ye may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing. So Jacob was in the word. He was minding his business, keeping the commandments, right? Doing what Jacob does, man. He was a plain man. Esau has to be out in the field. See, that we're a perfect, complete person. Jacob was keeping the commandments, serving the Most High God. We know Esau wasn't. Why? Because what did the Most High say? Let's go to Psalms chapter 58. And you know they were taught the law because Isaac knew the law, and he had to impart those laws unto Jacob. Right? So this is Psalms chapter 58:3. Right? The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So they're born wicked. Right? Estranged, meaning what? They go astray from the laws of the Most High God and righteousness as soon as they're born. All right, that's plain. So going back to Genesis 25, Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Right, that's what Jake do, huh? You know, you just kind of, like I said, you mind your business. You go from point A to point B. You do your own thing. Right? If it's like a fight or a shootout or something, Jake, you kind of mind your business. Oh, I don't want to get into that. You see that? You kind of do your own thing. Esau, he has to go into other countries. Hey, what are you doing over here? Stop that. And that's Jake, we're not doing that, man. I don't give a damn how the Ethiopians are treated Somalians, man. Esau has to go outside his country with bombs and planes, go land there, rape, rob, and murder, and molest. We mind our business, man. You know? Jake, you'll see a fight at the bus stop. You act like you ain't see it. Look, I don't know what's going on. I ain't see nothing. Police might pull up, ask you, what did you see? What? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I just got it. I don't know what happened. You know? Oh, look, look, I saw people, but I just showed up. I don't know. Right? We kind of keep to ourselves, man. We're a meek sheep-like people, man. We don't go out looking for trouble. Kind of just do your thing, man. Right? So Genesis chapter 25 and verse, let's get this. It's like in Genesis 25 and 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Right? Now, there's a precept I want to get. Let's see. I believe it's in Hebrews. Dwelling in tents with Abraham and Isaac. Right? I just want to get this precept real quick. Right? This is no, that's not what I want. Right? I want to get this in Hebrews. I believe it's Hebrews 11th chapter. I'm going to just go into it. All right, let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. I want to get this precept to link up with dwelling in tents. Because you got to think about it. When you're who was dwelling in the tent? Who was in the tent? Isaac, right? So essentially, when you're amongst righteous, when you're in that tent and you're amongst your father and your mother, you're more inclined to hear righteousness, to hear the laws, to hear the commandments, to hear the precepts being brought out. But if you're out in the field all day, you don't want to be around righteousness. That's why Esau was out in the field. He didn't want to hear what Isaac was saying. Right? He didn't want to hear those things, man. He didn't want to hear the commandments. He didn't want to hear the laws. Because in the law in Deuteronomy 11 and Deuteronomy 6, the fathers are commanded to teach the children. Let me get that real quick. I got a lot of precepts in mind. And Esau, he didn't want nothing to do with that, right? That's equivalent to, every time the word go out, oh, somebody says, oh, I got to leave. I got to go. I got to make moves. So that's why he's out in the field. He doesn't want to be around the word of the Most High, because that's what's going on in the house of Isaac, the word of God, man. Accounts of Abraham, various things, how the Lord blessed him. And Esau, he wants nothing to do with it. He's out in the field. Now, here's the law, right? Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 6. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Do you think Esau wanted to hear that? No, he didn't, man. Being bombarded, I would love that, man. If my earthly father and mother was in the truth, they hear the laws, the commandments every day from sun up to sundown. When I get up, when I go to sleep, when I'm walking past them, when I'm going to the kitchen, they go into the dining room, and look, what's that precept? Remember that law? What's the fifth commandment, right? And I would love to grow up in that environment, man. Hey, break this down real quick. I'm putting you on the spot. What does Genesis chapter 25 and 25 mean? We would love that. Esau doesn't want that, man. So again, that's why he's out in the field. Now, when you go into Hebrews, the 11th chapter, right? Let's see. Hebrews chapter 11 and 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed and went out, not knowing whether he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. You see that? So you had Isaac there, you have forefathers. A lot of those fathers, they were around during the same time, right? And Esau wanted nothing to do with it, with Isaac, with Jacob, with righteousness. That's why we can give you an account of that in Acts 24, right? Acts chapter 24, right? Bear with me. Salaki, bear with me 1 second. All right, so this is Acts, I want 24 and 25. Right? This Acts chapter 24 and 25. It reads, let's see if this is what I want. I'm going to start at 24. Acts 24 and 24. And after certain days, when Felix came with his wife Drusilla, which was a Jewess, he sent for Paul and heard him concerning the faith of Hamashiach. And so here's what Paul did. And as he reasoned of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, Felix was an Edomite. So here you have an Israelite speaking of righteousness, temperance, prophecy, judgment to come. Felix trembled and answered, go thy way, for this time, when I have a convenient season, I will call for thee. Meaning, look, I don't want to hear the word right now, right? Please get away from me. It's messing up my spirit. Here, get this man out of here. That's how you know wickedness hates righteousness. Because any other righteous man, if a brother comes up to me and he's reasoning of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, I'm going to add to him, say, hold on, let me bring this precept out. Or, that's a good precept, brother. Let me add to it and bring this up. But if you're a damn demon, you're going to say, go, get away from me. Let's talk about it later. I got to go. Right? And that's how Felix was, because he doesn't want to deal with the word, man. And that's how Esau was. Look, I'm going out in the field. And when he was out in the field, let's get this to Genesis 27. Right? What was Esau doing, man? We know what Esau was doing in the field. Dealing with the wild beast. Now, does it say that, okay, Esau was dealing with wild animals? But we know Esau, because that's what he does. He's dealing with wild beasts. This is what Esau was doing. This is his getaway. He could kill. He could freak off. He can get drunk. And that's what these Edomites do when they go hunting, man. You know? God knows what. That's their getaway. This Genesis 27 and Salakia 3. Here's what Isaac told Esau. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison. Right? You see that? So he had weapons. When did Esau get these weapons? Hey, we're led to believe he was making these weapons. Those are his weapons, not Isaac. Isaac didn't say, take my weapons. He said, those are your weapons. So he was probably out there making swords, making battle axes, just getting into war, man. Esau's making guns and making this and making rockets and making ICBM missiles now. The Smith, right? Making damn rocket propelled grenades, plasma weapons. He was out there making weapons, man. These weapons did not belong to Isaac. These weapons did not belong to Rebekah or Jacob. These are the weapons of Esau. You know? So, and Isaac knew about that, man. He said, take those weapons and hey, look, I need some venison. I'm about to give up the ghost. Right? So bear with me 1 second. Right? Bear with me. Okay, Khan Salaki. Right? So he was out there with his weapons, man. Now, when you go back to Genesis 25, that's what we can only imagine what he was doing in the field. Even Job said that he didn't want Esau around the dogs of his flock. You know? Genesis 25 and 28, going back to it. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Yeah, Esau didn't love Isaac because Isaac didn't love Esau because Esau was righteous and Esau always prayed for him and Esau was doing sacrifices at the altar. He just wanted that venison, man. You know, you might have a favorite spot that Esau owned where you kind of get your meat from. You know, you kind of deal with him just to, you know, get your, he might have a spot where you get your deer. I know brothers, you know, they get their meat from Amish markets, right? Get their lamb. That's why you deal with Esau for you use them, you know? You use them and you get what you want. You might have a favorite restaurant or something Esau own, not because it's Esau, but because of the food they got, man. You know? Favorite spot where you go pick up, you know, some lamb or whatever. And that's how Isaac was looking at Esau. Just kind of, look, I love him because he know how to get that meat I like. That venison. He could hunt that venison. Right? It didn't say that he loved him because he was a righteous man. You know? So Esau's on a low level. Imagine that. The only reason your father loves you is because he's eating your venison. Oh, I tell you, man. You know? That's a sad case, man. It reads, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now, this doesn't mean Isaac didn't love Jacob. We're just reading why he loved Esau, right? And Rebekah loved Jacob. So, and I'm led to believe Rebekah didn't like Isaac, man. I mean, Esau. That's what I'm led to believe. I'm led to believe anything that Esau did, Rebekah's probably like, damn, man, what's this doing, man? Probably vexed the hell out of her, you know? And Eve really don't mess around, man. If she got a bad kid, she whipping him, beating him. I don't know what to do with this guy, right? And that's how Rebekah was with Esau, right? Genesis 25 and 29. Now we're getting into the birthright. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So Jacob could get down, man. Brothers can make a mean chili, right? You can make a mean stew. You get down in the kitchen, right? You can do a mean steak, some salmon. You fry the hell out of some fish, some chicken. You can put the damn vegetables together and grill that, and you can get down, you know? So Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint, right? And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. And he called his name Edom. Now I want to go into this word pottage, right? Let's go into this word pottage. Yeah, like the brother said, he smelt them seasonings, man, right? He smelt them seasonings that Jacob was throwing in there, man. And we don't have to, I've never known a brother that measured, or a woman, a Eve, that measured her seasonings. Okay, I'm gonna need 2 tablespoons of garlic salt, 3 ounces of garlic pepper, right? A pinch of salt, and 3 cups. You don't measure, you just kind of shake, throw it in there. Then you just know, okay, that's enough. Then you add a little bit, and you got the spirit of discernment. Okay, that's enough. And it comes out amazing, right? Now here's this word pottage. Right, let's go into this word pottage. Esau has to, okay, you need 50 tablespoons of salt, right? And 400 gallons of so-and-so. We're not dealing with that, man. Try to pull his word up. Right, Salakia, bear with me. I'm trying to get into this word pottage. And Esau food still come out unsavory, man. Well, I mean, you watch, even when they have these cooking commercials or food show networks, when it's time for Esau to season their meat, every Jake is looking at it perplexed because they only do a little bit of salt, and that's it. They don't throw the Jake. You got the onion powder. Every Jake do the onion powder and the garlic pepper, right? You have to have that black pepper, salt, you know, maybe a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of seasoned oil. Lowry's. Jake, you do your thing, man. That's in every Jake's kitchen. Every brother has a garlic salt, onion pepper, some damn seasoned oil from Lowry's, some kosher salt, some black pepper, some cayenne pepper. Those are just they just lay the groundwork. And after that, Jake, you start doing your things. You might throw some lemon pepper in there. You want to get into it, or you might have some mesquite, some seasoning, a little bit of whatever. You know, so Esau was smelling that stuff, man. So here's pottage. So pottage, boiled food, soup, pottage, things sodden or boiled. That's what pottage is, right? So he said, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, right? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. All right, let's go to Hebrews chapter 12, which provides a little bit more insight into it. All right, it provides a little bit more insight on that pottage. That's why it's important to, you know, a lot of these accounts are explained further in the Apocrypha, and a lot of these accounts are explained also in the New Testament, huh? Right? So this is Hebrews chapter 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So in that pottage, right, it was heavy meat in there, similar to like stew. If you look up stew, let's pull up most stews have meat in it, but you got to wait till the meat is cooked, right? You might have a little bit of carrots in there. You might throw some tomato, whatever you want to throw in your stew, a little bit of potatoes, some carrots, right? You throw that inside of your stew. You might throw a little bit of onions in there. So here's essentially what Jacob made, this red pottage, but the meat wasn't done. So he's cooking it, and you know, stew, it takes a while. You can't just cook stew in 3 minutes. You got to kind of get into that thing, right? So that stew, it was cooking and boiling, and Jacob smelled, and Esau smelled it when he came back from the field, right? So let's go back to Genesis 25, right? Let's go back to Genesis 25 and see what happened. What went down? One of the most impactful monumental events, right, in biblical history. All right, Salaki, bear with me. All right, this is Genesis chapter 25. I just want to see if all this. Okay, come. All right, Genesis chapter 25 and 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Now, the word Edom in the Hebrew, it means red. Adawam, right? Adawam, that's Hebrew. And that's what Edom means, and it means red. So his name was called Edom after the red pottage that he ate, right? And Esau said, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright, right? So this is for the birthright. Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Now, the birthright is important because the birthright, you receive the inheritance of your father. And you're allowed to, and with that birthright, once the father dies, that son, which is really the firstborn son, he inherits his father's possessions. So let's say the husband that died, his wife is still around, and the son has brothers and sisters. He's able to inherit that and still keep his father's land going, keep the cattle going, keep the slaves or the servants working, and still provide for his family. So the birthright is not just an individual blessing that you receive within yourself. It's used to help your people, help your family, help your nation, and ultimately is given to the firstborn, right? As a passing the torch, for lack of better terms, or the baton to continue in your father's name. Now, when you go to Deuteronomy, it speaks about the birthright. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 25 to speak about the birthright, right? Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 5. It's like, I want Deuteronomy 21. It's like, bear with me. All right, I want Deuteronomy chapter 21. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21. We're going to read verse 15. Right? Deuteronomy 21 and 15. If a man have two wives, right? If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. So a man might be in a situation where he has two wives, and one wife he fell out with, but that wife has his firstborn son. Then he might have another wife that he loves more, who doesn't have his firstborn son, but nevertheless, they still have a child together, a son. That man can't say, well, I'm going to take my birthright and give it to the son of the woman I love. Even though that son is not the firstborn, I'm going to still give it to him. That's off. You still have to give your birthright to the firstborn, regardless of what woman conceived him. That's what it's saying. Verse 17, but he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn. By what? By giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. See that? So that's the birthright. The birthright is you receive a double portion of all that your father has, right? And you carry the name of your father. Now, when you go to Genesis, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 29. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 29. And I want to get this account. This is Genesis chapter 29 and verse 32. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me. So the firstborn son of Jacob was Reuben, right? And Reuben was entitled with the birthright, but Reuben went off, right? Reuben went off. When you go to Genesis, the 35th chapter, you find out that the birthright that was supposed to be given to Reuben was moved, right? And it was taken away from him. Genesis chapter 35 and 22. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went and lay with his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. You see that? So when you read this account, the birthright was essentially taken away from Reuben, right? So Reuben didn't receive the strength of Jacob now that he received the inheritance. It was ultimately given to Joseph, right? Let's go to Chronicles, right? Let's go to Chronicles and let's deal with it. Second Chronicles, it's like your First Chronicles. I want First Chronicles. All right, let's go to First Chronicles and show you what happened with Jacob, right? First Chronicles chapter 5 and 1. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. You see that? So you have the birthright. The Most High could take that birthright from you and give it to somebody else. And we'll read that about Jacob and Esau. The Lord took the birthright from Esau and gave it to Jacob. He took the birthright from Reuben and gave it to the sons of Joseph, who are Ephraim and Manasseh, you know? And that's how birthrights work. When you have that birthright, you're the firstborn, you belong to the Most High. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 13, right? And Yahushua was the firstborn. Yahushua belongs, right? Yahushua belongs to the Most High. Exodus chapter 13 and verse 2. Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both man and the beast, it is mine. So the firstborn is a heavy thing, man. Right? There's a lot of firstborn in the truth. I know a lot of brothers in the truth, they're the firstborn. Right? Is every brother the firstborn? Yes. How do you know? Because you're an Israelite. Although Israel was the last nation formed, we are called the firstborn of the Most High, which means the inheritance of the kingdom and the portion of the blessings and the promises belong to us. And Jacob knew that. Jacob knew how important it was to get that birthright. That's all I got to get that birthright. You think that was Jacob's first time thinking about the birthright? No, he was longing for the Most High. He wanted that birthright. He loved the Most High. He loved righteousness because he knew everything that came with the birthright, serving the Most High, receiving the promises. Like David, he was a man after the Most High's own heart. That's all we said about David. The Most High says, I found a man after my own heart. Jacob was a man after the Most High's own heart. And he wanted that birthright and that blessing so he could be close to the Most High. And he did what it took, man, to be close to the Most High. A lot of brothers don't do what it takes, man. Right? You're not putting any effort in. You're not doing anything, man. You don't read, you don't study. Right? You don't pray. You don't really want it, man. Jacob, even though it wasn't given to him, and he fought and he took it, and it is what it is, man. You got to take this thing, man. You're not going to just get it by asking. Esau, please give me your birthright. You got to take it. You got to do what you got to do, man. And you got to cut. Hey, if your woman wicked, and you got to cut your woman off, man. If she keeping you away from the commandments and the truth, hey, look, it is what it is, man. Get away from me. You know? If your job wants you to work on a Sabbath, hey, look, no, I'm not working on the Sabbath. I got to get this, man. I have to receive the promises that the Most High has for me, man. Nothing should stop you from getting nigh into the Most High. It didn't stop Jacob. It didn't stop. Abraham was about to kill Isaac. It didn't stop our forefathers, right? Exodus chapter 4 and 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. See that? So we are the firstborn of the Most High. You understand? Although we're the last nation formed, we are still indeed the firstborn of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And it's nothing that these nations can do about it, man. Right? Now, when you go into, let's go into Romans 8 chapter. All right, let's go to Romans chapter 8 and 29. This is Romans chapter 8 and 29. It reads, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. See that? So you have a particular group of men called the elect that were predestinated, meaning their destiny was already chosen and given to them before they were created. And the Most High told these spirits up in the third heaven, when you're born in the earth, you're going to live a life of wickedness and sin, but in due time, at a set year, month, day, you're going to come into the knowledge of the truth, and I'm going to take you from your worldly ways and conform you and mold you to be like my son Yahweh Shah, and you'll be the firstborn. Right? So now we're being through the adoption, through the faith and the mercy of Yahweh Shah and the ministry of reconciliation, we who were once outcast and not even called the children of the Most High, now we are now his firstborn through faith. See that? So naturally, being an Israelite, you're the firstborn, but remember, we were cast off. So the Most High has the adoption, we're adopted back as that firstborn to receive those promises and those blessings that were given to our fathers, right? So that birthright is important, man. And Jacob knew that. He said, look, you want this? It ain't free. Sell me this day thy birthright. And everything, and we going into the depths of the birthright and what comes with the birthright. And Jacob, he was on a high level. Remember, he was a plain man, dwelling in tents, man. So he knew what was going on. He wanted the kingdom. Essentially, he said, look, the kingdom is for you, but do you want to give the kingdom up to me for this? Hey, the Lord said in Ecclesiastes, let's get this. Ecclesiastes 11 chapter. It's like I put 22. I meant 11. All right, let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 11. All right, so guess what, man? Jacob had to do what he had to do. Right? He had to do what he had to do. Right? And we should all be in that same spirit, man. You have to do what you have to do in righteousness to keep that birthright and to take it. Right? This Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 4. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Meaning what? You can't have that what if spirit. Oh boy, I don't know. It might rain today. Maybe I shouldn't go to camp. Oh boy, that cloud is coming in strong. Maybe camp isn't going to be our thing today. Brother, get out there, man. Take a chance. Take the opportunity, man. If it presents itself, do it, man. And invest in that. Make it happen. It might not rain, man. You can't be too anxious and worried about the negativity of things, man. You'll never receive what the Most High has in store for you, man. And brother, you might see a woman. Yeah, that woman, man, that's a woman that's righteous. But maybe I'm just an idiot. Maybe I'm just a fool. Oh boy, I'm too short. Maybe, oh boy, I guess. Well, brother, that's why you didn't get that woman, brother. You know, that's why you didn't get that job. I'll never get that job. Look at me. I'm just a poor. Look at my resume. Well, why would they hire me? Look at me. I am fat. I don't know anything. I'll never get the job. Oh, that's why you don't get it, brother. You got to take this. What if Jacob said, oh boy, the Most High gave the blessing to Esau. The birthright is his. Why would I even ask? Right? Why even ask for it? And you'll never get these things, man. You know, you're too busy observing the wind and the clouds and the what ifs. You can't be a what if, a woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of guy. Hey, if the opportunity presents itself, go for it, man. And that's what Jacob did. Jacob saw it. He said, this is it, man. I got him right where I want him. Sell me this day thy birthright. Right? Sell me this day thy birthright. So let's go back to that. Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point ready to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? He's a carnal man. Right? He says, I am about to die. Why do I need this birthright? And Esau knew that birthright was given to him by God, by the Most High. Esau knew everything that came with the birthright. He knew being close to the Most High. He knew about what the Most High did for Isaac. He knew about what the Most High did for Abraham. He knew about the angels who dealt with his fathers. He knew these things, man. He said, man, forget the Most High, man. I want to feed the flesh. I don't care about the spiritual things. It's about me. It's about the flesh and my lust. I don't want to serve the Most High. Your birthright is a golden ticket to the kingdom. He has exchanged his golden ticket to the kingdom for the flesh. You know, and Jake, that's what you do every time you go off, man. Every time you decide to put on that nasty site, you're no better than Esau. You're selling your birthright. Like Jake, you sell your soul. Right? Every time you freak off and commit adultery, fornication, you pick that blunt up, you smoke weed, you do God knows what, man. You indulge in breaking the Sabbath. You don't want to put your frienders on. You're shaving your beard. You're entertaining demons. You're hanging around worldly people. You're no better than Esau. You're giving your birthright to these demons, to the world, in exchange for temporary pleasure and temporary lust. You know, just to get what you want. And that's why the Most High said that in Hebrews, lest there be any fornicator. Because the Most High in Hebrews, the 12th chapter, he's speaking to the Israelites. And he's telling you different traits on what not to be. Right? Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 12. Let's read that. It reads, wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees, right? And make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Meaning, mortify your members, strengthen that which is about to die, keep going in this truth before you turn aside into wickedness, right? Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God. So you have to look diligently before you fail in the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. The Lord said, do not be like the so-called white man, who's a fornicator, right? Profane, meaning ungodly, because he sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he would have received the kingdom. He would have received all of the promises, immortality, everlasting life, the chariots. He said, I count that dumb. I don't want it. I don't want that, man. And that's what the Cain said, man. The Most High said, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? I will accept you. You can be with me if you do what's right, and you'll be accepted. If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain said, I like that second option right there. Sin lieth at the door. Let me open up the door and invite Satan into my vessel. Let him rule over me. That sounds a lot better than being accepted by you. And that's what Esau said, man, I don't need this birthright. I don't need the Most High. You know how Jake get real disrespectful. That's what Esau was doing, man. You know, he would have inherited the blessing. He was rejected, for he found no place of repentance. Thought he sought it carefully with tears. Right? So Esau, you know, he said, look, I'd rather sin and enjoy temporary sin and the pleasures of the flesh than to be immortal. So that shows you how this devil is, man. You know, verse 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And this is why Esau's mad. Now, a lot of these Edomites, whenever you read about Jacob, they call Jacob a trickster. They say Jacob is he was off. Jacob was wicked. He tricked Esau. He shouldn't have tricked Esau. Why would he do that to his own brother? How come he didn't just feed him? Hey, guess what, man? Hey, forget Esau, man. I wanted to use other words, but hey, forget Esau, man. I don't care about what he got going on. Hey, Jacob did the right thing. And ultimately, it was set up in the spirit, man, for Jacob to do that. From the foundation of the world, it was set up for Jacob to take that birthright. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. Give a damn about Esau, man. You know, and him being hungry. And what he got, oh, I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat. Hey, look, man, so what? So what? What you gonna give me? Give me a birthright. Give me a blessing. So Jacob went hard for the Most High, man. Hey, I would love to see that scene. Jacob was probably, you know how Jake be rubbing their mittens, man. I got a plan. Jake start rubbing their beard, coming up with a plan. And I'm led to believe, you know, Jacob made that just and he seasoned it well because he knew what time Esau probably went out hunting at a set time. He knew he would come back, you know, and he said, look, I'm going to make this. It ain't going to be done yet, but I'm going to get that birthright. I don't think that was an accident. I don't think he accidentally was cooking that food and it just so happened that Esau came in and Jacob had an idea and a light bulb went up and said, I think I want the birthright right now. That was always on his mind. We always want to serve the Most High, right? And we're willing to do anything to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We're willing to be tortured. Read the book of Maccabees. We're willing to be thrown in the lion's den. Read the book of Daniel. We're willing to be thrown in the furnace. That's in Daniel, the 3rd chapter. We're willing to offer and kill our son. Read Genesis 22, man. We're willing to do and risk it all for Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. And that's what Jacob did, man. Jacob did what a lot of men still refuse to do. They still refuse to risk it all for Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Because you're scared. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. You know, you fear man. Jacob didn't fear man. He said, I got to be with the Most High. Nothing's going to stop me, right? This is Romans chapter 9 and verse, let's see. I'm going to start at 8. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. For this is the word of promise, at this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son, right? And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac. So we know that these are Israelites in Rome because their father is Isaac. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. Meaning the Most High elected one child. He said, I'm going to choose this child to be righteous, and I'm going to choose this child to be wicked. It had nothing to do with their works. It had nothing to do on what they have done on the earth. The Most High selected these two lots according to his will. All right. It was Romans 9 and 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Right? And the Lord hates Esau. Nobody wanted to deal with Esau, man. Isaac just wanted the venison. Rebekah loved Jacob. Esau is getting finessed by his brother. You know? So it was all set up from the foundation of the world. Then Jacob gave Esau bread. He gave him bread, man. And a pottage of lentils. Like, here, look, nigga. I mean, it's like, here, look, take it all, man. Here, you got it. You want bread too? You know, that's how Jake be, man. He just wanted that pottage of lentils. Hey, Jacob got what he wanted here. Take some bread. Hey, wash it down. You want some water too? All right. Do you want anything to drink? What else can I get you? Right? Are you full? Jacob already got what he wanted, man. He'll take some bread and some water, man. So Jacob, he already knew. Look, he had that thing in the bag, man. And he was just playing his role. He was just finessing. That's what Jake call finessing. And his name Jacob, it means in the Hebrew, it's Yaiquab, right? Yaiquab means surplant. So Jacob is a surplanter. What does it mean to supplant? To overcome. You understand? By any means. To take over. And Jacob, and naturally we have that spirit, man. That's why Jake throws those words out there. Jake, you know how to supplant. You'll supplant your boss. You'll supplant certain things. They'll want you to do something one way, and you find your way out of situations, and you just have that spirit, man, of getting things done by any means, man. You have that natural subtlety in you. It reads, and it's like it. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright, which ultimately means what? He despised the Most High, because that's really the Most High's. The Most High had that birthright given to Abraham and given to Isaac. So Esau not taking the birthright, he hated Isaac, he hated Abraham, he hated the Most High, and everything that pertained to righteousness. Esau hates righteousness because that's what comes with that birthright. All right. But with that, I'm going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh. I may do another lesson going into the actual blessings in Genesis chapter 27 and touch on Jacob and Esau and that blessing and what that details and what that goes into. I want to give again all honor and glory to Yahweh. Keep the Sabbath holy. No buying, no selling, no sex, no lewdness on the Sabbath, no speaking your own words, doing your own pleasures. Keep the Sabbath holy. Again, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh. Kwam Yashala. Shalom.